Honorable Men Discord. Was Jacksonville officers acting lawfully, or were they excessive? Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new. I would never cower.
As always, welcome to another episode. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification button. Let's get straight to it. So, the following news report I have behind me is of a situation that took place back in February. The reason why we're talking about it now in July is because the individual recorded the incident and he posted it. So once it went viral, then there was an investigation that followed to find out what was going on, why the officers responded the way they responded. But before I go into my thoughts on this, let's go straight to the news report, courtesy of ABC News.
Stop that's gone viral and why the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office says it's opened an investigation. The video shows deputies beating and punching William McNeil Jr., who says it happened back in February, but he's releasing the video now. Here's a portion of it.
When he pulled me over, he walked up, opened my door because my window don't work, right? Okay. And then I said, so what I did wrong? Yeah. He said, well, for one, your headlights are off under this weather. I'm like, okay. There's multiple people headlights off, first of all. And then there's no rain.
It doesn't matter. You're still required to have headlights on.
Can you pull that law up?
Huh?
Can you pull that law up?
Yeah, when you step out of the car, I will.
Can you call your supervisor?
Huh?
Can you call your supervisor?
All right, go for it.
Exit the vehicle now. Exit the vehicle. Show me your hands.
Here.
I'm here. What is your reason, sir?
Step out.
What is your reason?
Step out now.
All right. No.
Well, we don't know what happened before the camera started recording, but civil rights attorneys Harry Daniels and Ben Crump are now representing McNeil. In a statement, they said it should be obvious to anyone watching this video that William McNeil wasn't a threat to anyone. He was calmly exercising his constitutional rights, and they beat him for it. Rena Roy joins us now. She's covering the story for us and the release of this video. All right, sort of take us through, Rena, what we just saw.
Yeah, well, Kira, the video is difficult to watch, and it seems to pick up shortly after William McNeil Jr. was pulled over by cops. Now, remember, this was back in February, and at first you hear him asking why he was pulled over, and they say he didn't have his headlights on, and he says there's no rain. A sheriff's deputy responds, it doesn't matter. That's when McNeil is asked to show his hands, which he does. He's also asked to get out of the car, so he asks to speak with his supervisor. That sheriff's deputy then breaks his window. You actually see the glass shatter onto McNeil, then the sheriff's deputy punches him. He's pulled out of the car, pushed to the ground, and we see multiple officers beating him as he's placed under arrest, Kira.
Have we heard from McNeil, Rena? Was he charged with anything?
Well, court records, Kira, show that McNeil is facing a slew of charges, and I'll just read through them here. The first is resisting arrest without violence to his or her person. He's also charged with possessing not more than 20 grams of marijuana, driving while his license was suspended, not wearing a seatbelt, and no headlights in the rain. And he was sentenced to and served 2 days in jail. We haven't heard from McNeil himself, but his attorneys are saying that they are disgusted, but that they're not surprised. They argue that McNeil was calmly exercising his constitutional rights, and they beat him for it.
Well, what is the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office saying, and what do we know about these officers that were involved? There were a number there on the scene.
Yeah, definitely a number of them there, Kira. Well, as you pointed out, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, they have opened an internal investigation into this incident, and they sent us a statement saying, quote, "We hold our officers to the highest standards and are committed to thoroughly determining exactly what occurred." Now, when it comes to the officers that were involved, we really don't know a lot at this point. A public information officer that we reached out to said that they could not comment, given that this is an ongoing investigation, Kira.
Well, we will definitely stay on the investigation as well. Rena Roy, thank you.
Imagine being a...
All right. So when I say excessive or justified in the thumbnail, it's clear it's excessive. It's not justified. And what I'm talking about, it's not justified, is the punch in the face. All right. So a few things that comes to mind that I'm just curious about, and this may not matter in this situation, but why February? I don't understand why he decided to. Not why February. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Why now? Why is he putting out the footage now if it happened in February? Folks, I want to get your opinion on this, because if I get punched in the face by an officer that same day, if I'm not detained at a precinct, that same day I'm calling an attorney. I'm seeking legal counsel that same day. Now, if for some reason I cannot get to a phone that day to make a phone call, which I believe we have rights even when we're detained to make a phone call, I would make it the next day, or whatever day I'm released. If I'm detained, I'm making a phone call to an attorney, right? So as far as Jacksonville, Florida is concerned, I had to look this up, right? It says in Jacksonville, Florida, during a lawful traffic stop, the law enforcement officers have the authority to order both drivers and passengers to exit the vehicle. This is based on U.S. Supreme Court rulings such as Pennsylvania versus Mims, 1977, and Maryland versus Wilson, 1997, which prioritize officer safety during traffic stops. Okay, prioritizes officer safety. I completely understand that. First and foremost, I'm not making this about bashing police officers. All right. Maybe in the past I would have taken that angle, but as an older, wiser man, everything is case by case for me now. You can disagree with that statement that I just said, but everything is case by case. I'm not just gonna just dive in and make this up. All police officers are bad. There's some bad cops. There's some good cops. I also have family members that are in law enforcement. But that's not the only reason why I'm saying what I'm saying. This is why it's important for me to looked up. This is why it was important, for me to look up Jacksonville traffic law protocol. All right, let me just read further. It says, here's a breakdown of protocol and related legal aspects. Officer's authority. Officers can order you to exit your vehicle without needing additional probable cause or reasonable suspicion of criminal activity solely for safety reasons. Compliance is key. You are generally required to comply with an officer's order to exit the vehicle. Refusal to comply can lead to further complications, including charges like resisting an officer's lawful order. Not an accusation of wrongdoing. Being asked to exit the vehicle does not automatically mean you are being accused of a crime. It is a measure taken to ensure safety and control during the interaction. Passenger rights. Passengers are also subject to the same legal standard as and can be ordered to exit the vehicle for safety reasons. In short, if you are stopped in Jacksonville and an officer orders you to step out of your vehicle, it's essential to comply to avoid escalating the situation. If you have concerns about the officer's conduct, it's best to address them later with an attorney, as I mentioned earlier. Now, why did I read that to all of you? Because, gentlemen, no matter what state you're in, if you're traveling to another state, if you're traveling through states, it would be in your best interest to update yourself on the laws of that particular state. All right? Because yes, some states, it's okay for you to stay in the vehicle and ask for a supervisor and not exit the vehicle. You could actually deny stepping out in some states, but that's not the case in Jacksonville, Florida, as you can see from what I read. That's not the case. So the gentleman was wrong for refusing to step out the vehicle. That's clear from what I just read, right? But here's another thing, gentlemen, and this is just a suggestion, because again, we're grown men, right? We're grown men. You're going to do what you want to do regardless of what I say. If you know you're riding dirty, if you know you have a suspended license like the news report said he had, and you're surrounded by a police officer, the jig is up. It's time to step out the vehicle. All right. You're not making it any better if you know you're not riding clean. And clean, when I say clean, you don't have to have a slew of drugs in your car. But clean meaning you have nothing to hide. All right. So if you know you have nothing to hide, license is clean, you have your insurance is up to date, registration is up to date, step out the vehicle. All right. Because any opportunity to make it seem as though you're resisting or being a problem, quote unquote problem, why do it? If you know you have nothing to hide, step out the vehicle. Okay? That's just a suggestion, depending on what state you're in. Now, in this case, in Jacksonville, I don't know if the gentleman's from Jacksonville or he was visiting, but he didn't know that in Jacksonville, when an order is given, you're supposed to step out the vehicle. So he was wrong there. But I have never seen in my life, now I'm not saying this has never happened, but I have personally never seen in my life police officers breaking the glass to make sure you come out the vehicle. I need information as to if that is protocol in Jacksonville, Florida. And the fact that the sheriff's department is just finding out about this because he posted the video, I'm kind of confused. And I'm confused, again, as a pedestrian, as someone that's not in law enforcement. So I need to be educated on this as far as Jacksonville is concerned. I don't want to even dive into other states right now because for the sake of this episode, I'm interested in knowing, is this protocol in Jacksonville? Are they allowed to break your glass to force you out of the vehicle? All right. That's something I want to know. Because I feel like that's excessive. All right. Especially if they pulled him over because of some type of failure to have a headlight on. Right. So curious minds want to know. Now, so gentlemen, again, if you're pulled over and you know you're not riding clean, the jig is up. Unless you decide that you want to intentionally go against law enforcement and just put them on a high-speed chase, which I don't advise you doing that. But the jig is up when you have that many officers around you. But again, the moment an officer does something like punch you in the face, all bets is off. I'm not saying fight the officer. Do not do that. Do not get emotional and think you're going to fight the officer, because you're just going to get everyone piled up on top of you to gain control over the situation, which is not going to be in your best interest. He was smart. He took the punch, but I think he should have reported this sooner than later. He reported it nonetheless, and let's see how this thing plays out for him. We're going to I'm going to definitely keep watch as to what's going to happen in this situation, how this plays out. But like everything else, you got to know your rights, gentlemen. You have to know your rights. You have to know your rights. There's no way around it. All right. You have to know your rights. But I believe the officer, as far as punching him in the face, was absolutely excessive. And I would be surprised if that particular officer actually keeps his job. I'll be honest. Because I know the lawyers that are representing the gentleman is definitely going to go after that particular officer. As far as the other infractions, like him having, I guess, weed on him, an excessive amount of weed, if that's something that they're going to charge him with, that's fine. Because, and of course, having a suspended license, that's fine. But the punch in the face, yes, the lawyer is going to absolutely go after that police officer for doing that. And there's no way anyone could jump in the comments and justify the officer punching the guy in the face. Breaking the glass, again, I don't know if that's Jacksonville protocol. Opening the door, forcing him out of the vehicle, I don't see an issue with that. I noticed the news report says something in their, let me see something. They put it as black man beaten by deputies. I personally didn't see him get beaten. I saw him get pulled out. I mean, maybe there's more video that they saw that I didn't see, but I'm not going to go on the limb and say, oh, the officers beat him up. Like, I didn't see that. I saw a punch. He was struck. He was definitely hit. So, the headline could have said officer hit gentleman or officer hit black male. I didn't see him get beaten. And no, I'm not defending the officers. I'm not here to defend the officers, and I'm not here to play lawyer for the gentleman that was the victim of being hit by the officer. I'm just here to make sense of this particular traffic stop and whether or not the officers were excessive in this case. This is not a black and white thing. I saw a black officer in that video also at the end helping to gain control of the situation and get him in cuffs. I saw that towards the end of the video. But yeah, this is interesting. All right, now listen, we have some good officers, we got some bad officers. Sometimes people become police officers and they get beside themselves. The authority goes to their head and they're playing cowboys out there. I know that exists. So we could pretend like that doesn't exist, but that exists as well as good officers. There's a yin and a yang for almost everything out there, if not everything. All right. So in this case, the officer that punched him in the face is going to be under fire for punching, because everyone else, you know, it seems like they were doing their job as listed here for Jacksonville protocol in pulling someone over. But that's all I have on this. What's your thoughts on this? I'll see you in the comments. As always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notifications button, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.